Yeah, it's the 16th of December. The sun is high, the waves are blue, while everybody's chilling in Bolito. Someone's got something else to do. Down in Durban, they're soaking up the spray. It's a holiday, baby, reconciliation day. Nobody's at the office, nobody's on the clock, except for the agents heading down the block. They're swarming through the hallways, looking for a file, losing all the rhythm, losing all the style. In a wood-made office, the air turns cold. A story's being written that's already getting old. Demanding every paper, searching for a name. Intimidation is the spirit of the game. They said, where are the Americans? We need them in a row. But then they changed the script for the midday show. It was the raid on wood made under a summer sky, a holiday hustle, a convenient little lie. They said, Hakuna Matata, don't you be afraid. We only want the canyons. It was quite the masquerade. Oh, the raid on wood made relations take a fall, building up the tension, building up the wall. Scheming home affairs is talking fast, trying to make a holiday work ethic really last. The public's looking sideways, the logic doesn't flow. Working on a Friday, on a holiday, no. Was the KFC closed? Was there nothing left to eat? Is that why the uniforms are out on the street? Somebody doxed a diplomat, his secrets on the loose. Now Washington is tightening the diplomatic news. The ancient says it wasn't me. Washington says we shall see. A stumble, a tumble, a diplomatic crack. Once you cross that line, there's no turning back. No turning back. It was the raid on wood meat under a summer sky, a holiday hustle, a convenient little lie. They said, Hakuna Matata, don't you be afraid. We only want the canyons. It was quite the masquerade. Oh, the raid on wood made relations take a fall, building up the tension, building up the wall. Summer sky, a holiday hustle, a convenient little lie. They said, Hakuna Matata, don't you be afraid. We only want the canyons. Was quite the masquerade. Oh, the raid on wood made relations take a fall, building up the tension, building up the wall. Check the calendar. Reconciliation doesn't feel like it in Woodmead. Keep your papers ready, mate. Hakuna Matata. Right? Don't coot in bed.
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Merry Christmas, folks. Welcome back to the program. It's Chris live in central Pennsylvania. I hope that you're all doing well tonight. How's life treating you on this Christmas Eve 2025? Let's get a sound check here quickly. 2025. Sounds pretty good. All righty, let's get to it. Well, welcome back, folks. Merry Christmas. Ho, 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 ho. I hope your Christmas is going better than some folks around the world. Not everybody having a good Christmas. A little bit of coal in some of those stockings and some misbehaving people around the planet. So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on with Ronell? Somebody's happy for Ronell. What is with this? Not quite right. This doesn't look quite right. There we go. Now it's correct. Don't know how that got put on correctly. Santa's L's must be failing. All right. Welcome back, folks. Let's get to the news today for Christmas Eve, the 24th of December, 2025. We need to change our calendar. So just one day to Christmas now. Just a single digit, and it will be Christmas Day. We celebrate the birth of the Christ child. Let's take care of the Advent calendar before we get any further. before the elves get to my chocolate. All right, our last day on the Advents calendar is right here with the 24th. Oh, a big piece of chocolate, and it's a big Santa Claus. There you go, Santa Claus. Okay, take care of that one. Then we have the Kinder Chocolate, which I don't think I'm going to do next year. I didn't like that very much. And the 24th will be located up here. It's another one of those little owls. Okay. And then we have our final Advents calendar, which is right here in the center again, same spot, and also another Santa Claus. There you go. All right, look at that. So we're done. That takes care of our little chocolate surprises for this Christmas season. Anyway, folks, let's get that straight. There we go. Anyway. There we go. Somehow that's not quite right. There we go. Right. No refugee tickets coming from here. Welcome back, program. Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for that birthmark. Any comments on your family, but we were happy. Yes. Well, that's because I don't talk about family. That's not appropriate. Let's talk about censorship, though, ladies and gentlemen. Censorship is out of control, and the United States government is not going to have it anymore. We are going to start defending Americans from abuse from abroad. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio has announced this yesterday, and the Europeans are screaming foul because their fascist dictators and censorship chiefs are now banned from coming to America. He announced some actions to combat the global censorship industrial complex. The State Department is taking decisive action against 5 individuals who have led organized efforts to coerce American platforms to censor, demonetize, and suppress American viewpoints, which they oppose. These radical activists weaponize non-government organizations have advanced censorship crackdowns by foreign states, in each case targeting American speakers and American companies. As such, I've determined that their entry, presence, or activities in the United States have potentially serious adverse foreign policy consequences for the United States. Based on these determinations, the Department has taken steps to impose visa restrictions on agents of the global censorship industrial complex who, as a result, will be generally barred from entering the United States. Further, based on foreign policy determination, the Department of Homeland Security can initiate removal proceedings against certain individuals pursuant to INA Section 237, Paragraph A, Subparagraph 4, Section C, which renders such individuals deportable. President Trump has been clear that his America First foreign policy rejects violating American sovereignty. Extraterritorial overreach by foreign censors targeting American speech is no exception. The State Department stands ready and willing to expand today's list if other foreign actors do not reverse course. Oh, my goodness. Shots fired. They seek to curb online hate, claims New York Times. Of course, that's not true. Thierry Breton is a slimy, filthy piece of human sludge. Trump administration said 5 regulators and researchers who work to tackle disinformation abuse on the internet have been barred from entering the U.S. Yeah, because they're scumbags. Josephine Ballon and Lena von Hodenberg lead a German legal aid organization that assists individuals facing online abuse and violent threats. Claire Melford runs a British group that helps identify disinformation. Imran Ahmed is a British activist who runs an organization that has chronicled anti-vaccine content on social media. On Tuesday, they were accused of censorship against Americans. Yep, the travel ban is a major escalation dispute between the Trump administration and Europe over the regulation of online content and social media. In the United States, free speech protections allow social media companies to set their own content policies, and Trump and others on the right have successfully pushed social media firms to roll back moderation rules they view as silencing conservative voices. In Britain, the European Union, there are certain restrictions on speech because they are fascist dictators. That's why. Yep, so Ms. Ballon, co-executive of Hate Aid, a German group that assists victims of online attacks, said she received an email from Tuesday notifying her visa had been revoked. She did not understand why until she saw the announcement a few hours later from Marco Rubio. Provides counseling, safety advice, and litigation findings to help victims of online attacks take legal action against perpetrators, except that's not really what they do. Mr. Ahmed is chief executive of the Center for Countering Digital Hate, which has teams in Britain and the United States. Elon Musk sued the group in 2023 after the organization documented a rise in hate speech on Twitter following the acquisition of the platform, which is now called X. Of course, that hate speech has always been there. It's just been directed against conservatives. But now that the hate speech is directed against leftists, their feelings are hurt. They didn't say anything before when they were targeting people on the right. Now they want to sue. So they're inconsistent. The European Union is upset. The State Department imposes sanctions on former EU official Thierry Breton, who's a piece of human sludge, and these other disinformation group leaders. Trump officials have repeatedly condemned European nations for alleged censorship. The latest State Department Human Rights report alleged significant human rights abuses in allies like the United Kingdom, France, and Germany over serious restrictions of freedom of expression. Yep. The new sanctions are quickly met by an outcry from Emmanuel Macron, Thierry Breton, former European Commissioner involved in the Digital Services Act, a sweeping EU law censorship which bans free speech in the European Union. Germany says U.S. visa ban over tech rules not acceptable. German non-government group targeted by U.S. measures labeled an act of repression. No, the repression came from you scumbags who've been silencing Americans that you don't agree with. And now the chickens have come home to roost. EU warns of possible action after U.S. bars 5 Europeans accused of censorship. European Commission is warning of possible action against the U.S. after travel bans were imposed on 5 Europeans. Here we go. Here comes the war that we were talking about. The Europeans, because 5 scumbag fascists who abuse the law to silence critics that they don't like are being punished for their actions. Now the Europeans want to rise the temperatures. What are they going to do next? Ban Americans from traveling Europe? Go ahead. Cut your nose off to spite your face. That freaking $500 million, $1 trillion of tourist money will dry up and your little destinations will go without any visitors. European Union's executive branch has warned it would respond to any unjustified measures after the U.S. State Department barred 5 Europeans it accused of pressuring American tech companies to censor or limit U.S. viewpoints. Mr. Breton, a former French finance minister, engaged in a social media dispute last year with Elon Musk over airing an online interview with Trump in the months before the U.S. election. If needed, we will respond swiftly and decisively defend our regulatory autonomy against unjustified measures. Well, the European Union has no territorial jurisdiction over Americans and our constitutions. You can shove it right where the sun don't shine. You colonial bastards. Pissed all over the world. Now you're getting pissed back on. Europe pushes back at Trump's authoritarian sanctions on anti-disinformation figures. They call them all anti-disinformation. They're all freaking misinformation merchants. That's what they actually are. State Department's travel bans on 5 prominent officials and activists have been met with howls of derision across the continent. Too bad. You may like fascists in Europe, the birthplace of fascism, but we don't like them. European allies react with outrage Wednesday after Trump administration sanctioned online safety campaigners. Online safety campaigners. Fascist dictators redressed as online safety. You notice how they're afraid of free speech. Look how terrified they are of free speech. No wonder the ANC is in league with the European Union. They're all fascists. They love being fascists. Well, thank you very much. Merry Christmas. Well, my birthday's not here yet, but thank you for that. Yes, the European Union, much like the African National Congress, are overestimating their own importance and worth to the world. UK upset as well. UK social media campaigners among 5 denied visas. 2 British social media campaigners are among 5 people denied U.S. visas after the State Department accused them of seeking to coerce American tech platforms and suppressing free speech. Imran Ahmed, an ex-labor advisor, now heads the Center for Countering Digital Hate, and Claire Melford, the CEO of Global Disinformation Index, were labeled radical activists by the Trump administration and barred from entering the United States. Yes, well, that's exactly what they deserve. Merlo, thank you for the 140 rand. Clouds are gathering. Now, Mike has given another 70 rand. I salute you, sir, for all you've done for us. No wonder you were born on Christmas. Another good human was born this day. Yeah. May you start your 50s throughout the next 10 years. Yes, my 50s have been great. Thank you. Yes, well, there you go. Well, President Trump's recalled 30 ambassadors from around the planet, and people are freaking out, removing career diplomats and replacing them. Don't know if it was with political appointments or with career diplomats, but the biggest place hit was Africa, with 13 countries now losing U.S. ambassadors there. So big challenges as we see major roles changing. 30 diplomats recalled from overseas posts. Well, the G20 has been named South Africa's Word of the Year. There's a small problem with G20. It's not a word. It's a contraction, not even a word. It's the group of 20. Of course, it's not a word. But the South African South African Language Board and a media research company focused decided that that's the word of the year. Unfortunately, that isn't the word of the year. The word of the year is not G20. It's not white genocide, as much as leftists like Peter Dutoit, Adrian Basson, and others want to name it. It's actually refugee, with quotation marks. The bastardization of the English language by corrupt South African politicians and media experts who deny refugee status to people who are legitimate refugees. So, there you go. Interfering with refugee operations, a clear violation of the United Nations norms, harassing U.S. officials, doxing U.S. officials. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you, Durko. Not. And Home Affairs. G20, Word of the Year. Not. South African Language Board and media research company Focal Points released results annual survey. The 2025 South African Word of the Year for social media was awarded to Valid, chosen as a shortlist that included, well, we mean Valid. They said it was G20. Huh? G20 was selected as the winner, prevailing over other contenders such as Government National Unity, Terrorist Femicide, and the Michelanga Commission. Notice that they never put on there white genocide or refugees, the two things that appear in the news every single day. Refugees in quotation marks. Together we rise. Deputy President Paul Mashatile has a message of hope for Christmas, and I read his message to you. President Mashatile. The year 2025 has reminded us that our greatest strength does not lie in the corridors of government, but in the resilience and unity of our people. The most valuable resource is not the minerals, but the grit, courage, and determination of all South Africans everywhere. Of course, South Africa's GDP grew just 0.5% this year. The spirit of Ubuntu doesn't translate into jobs, prosperity, or social benefit. May this Christmas bring peace to your homes, comfort to your hearts, and renewed strength to your spirit. Together we will rise, rebuild, and reimagine a future of hope and prosperity, he said, wishing all South Africans a Merry Christmas and an enjoyable festive season. Sure. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. Corruption-accused former Gauteng Health MEC Brian Shlongwa has died. My goodness. At the Charlotte McKexon Hospital, what a terrible place to die. Former Gauteng Health MEC Brian Shlongwa has died after a short illness. According to party spokesman Mlange Bengu Motsiri, he died at Charlotte McKexon Hospital in Joburg Tuesday morning. He wore many hats as a politician, served as MEC from 2006 to 2009, party's chief whip in Gauteng legislature. And SIU report implicated him in fraud, corruption, and nepotism to the tune of $1.2 billion between 2006 and 2009, and never brought to justice. 16 years later. Kelvosaurus, thank you for the 70 Rand. You're welcome. Yeah, he died without facing justice. He wasn't charged with corruption and fraud until 2021. His trial was set to begin in April of next year. You can't try a corpse. Well, last minute holiday merrymaking, folks. It's almost Christmas in South Africa, just about 6 hours away. Last minute Christmas recipes, quick dish to save your holiday feast. Look at that. That's a citrus and herb roast chicken with summer salsa. Interesting. What are those? Beef, bean, and mushroom sliders. No, thank you. That looks disgusting. Homemade tomato sauce. I'll pass. And here we have, that's the chicken again. I guess they ran out of space. That's the recipe for the chicken. And there's a festive cherry and chocolate coffee charlotte. Does that get you going? That really doesn't do it for me. Just the chicken looked appealing to me. Try to bring you some good news. It isn't all bad news, right? Well, folks, KZN Health Services MEC gave an 86 million Rand Christmas gift, bolstering emergency services with a whole bunch of brand new ambulances. Look at that, 44 ambulances, just in time for the holiday death carnage on the highways. KZN Health MEC Nomagugu Simelane unveiled 86 million Rand fleet of 44 new ambulances, all provided taxpayer expense. Will they be maintained? Will they even be operational 12 months from now? One wonders. I'm sure a handful will be. 30 ambulances, 8 dual stretcher, and 6 35-seater planned patient vehicles. There you go. Congratulations. Well, another horrific, senseless murder. Cape Town athlete and coach gunned down in robbery. Celebrated Erste River athlete and coach Andre Africa was shot and killed. Well-known Erste River athlete and coach Andre Africa was shot dead in an apparent robbery. His body was discovered by security guards Sunday morning in Blueberry Hill, 3 kilometers from his parents' home. He was deeply involved in developing young athletes, including 18-year-old Boyton van der Westhuizen, who is set to compete in the World Cross Country Championships in the U.S. Gun violence in Cape Town has claimed the life of a well-known and respected athlete. Jeez. There he is with his young protege, Boyton van der Westhuizen. Senseless murder. Why? Koos Becker's families unload another $2.5 billion worth of shares from Naspers and Prosus as they put more money into Babylon storing their British and Italian luxury holdings as well. Vinamaggio and there's a Tuscan wine estate near Florence, known as the birthplace of the Mona Lisa. 11 suspects arrested in that Beckersdale mass shooting. They're found in possession of multiple firearms, including AK-47. Duncan Dupret, and welcome. Thank you very much, Duncan, for that super chat. Just a big thank you for all you've done, all you will do. To one, all have an awesome Christmas. Thank you for the 140 Rand super chat. Clouds are gathering. 11 suspects have been arrested in connection with that shooting. We managed to find 9 suspects. We found them in possession of 4 pistols. The house where they were hiding belongs to a mine, and the mine employee was allocated the house by the mine. He was also arrested for harboring undocumented people, possibly defeating the ends of justice. 9 of the arrested men are Lesotho nationals. 1 is from Mozambique, and the 11th person is alleged to have been harboring them is a South African. Well, that's going to stir up anti-immigrant xenophobia for sure, as they turn out to be all foreigners murdering South Africans. It's out of control, folks. South Africa's out of control. As I mentioned, Koos Becker has unloaded a whole bunch of shares, the uber wealthy guy who can't even get good dental care. How do you have such nasty teeth, man? Oof. Well, only 1,500 Eskom customers have registered their solar systems despite a rule that requires people to do that. It's been years now. Yes. Well, Eskom made a big noise about the fact that these customers must register their solar systems with the utility. Only 1,500 people have gone ahead and done so in the last 3.5 years. 1,500 people in 3.5 years. Oh, yeah. Major success there, Eskom. Well, thank you, Angelique. 35 Rand super chat. Whew, my goodness. I've got to take this cap off. It is way too warm here, folks. Way too warm here in the house. Christmas. Whew, doesn't quite look the same without the hat, does it? Anyway. Right. Whew, man, I was cooking with that hat on. Right. The Rand is in good shape. Dropping below 17 to the dollar. My goodness. Strongest level in more than 3 years. 16.63 before noon today. Strong level in 3 years. Of course, that's being buoyed by the price of platinum, $4,500 an ounce, and gold at $2,300 an ounce. Wow. Or gold, gold at $4,500, platinum at $2,300 an ounce. Wow. And the dollar is suffering because of debt spending in America and the tariff uncertainty. Philip Holtz, business tech, government business tech, is 37,000 millionaires. Yep, I've talked about the millionaires a day or so ago. Thank you, Philip Holtz, for the 140 Rand super chat. Nice. Judge. I look like a judge? Oh, I guess that looks like a judge. I thought it looked like Santa Claus. SPCA is on the scene, folks. 24,000 cases of animals in cruelty in the Western Cape alone. My goodness. The Cape of Good Hope SPCA has recorded a significant increase in the number of animals taken in its care in 2025, with a worrying rise in cruelty-related cases, underscoring growing pressure on animal welfare services across the Western Cape. According to the organization, a total of 23,783 animals have been admitted so far this year, compared with thousands assisted in 2024. 614 animals were seized due to cruelty or neglect, 9,360 strays, 13,000 surrendered animals. With December not even over, the figures will rise before the year end. Well, the way people treat pets is shocking. This is from a week ago. This pet was stabbed. 3 teenagers from Kirstenhof are facing criminal charges after allegedly stabbing a local dog in a disturbing act of cruelty. Zia, 4-year-old female Brindle Crossbury, was attacked at approximately 3:08 on the 8th of December. Her owner, Jonathan Nell, returned home shortly before, discovered with a large knife protruding from her nose. Rushed her to SPCA, where emergency experts revealed that the blade had penetrated deeply into her right nasal cavity. Too many crickets. Oh my God, look at that. Look at that X-ray. Sick people. Who raises children like this? Who raises children like this, folks? Disgusting. Vile, repulsive. Well, it's confirmed. Sia Khaleesi will be coming back to the Stormers after stints in France and down on the East Coast. He will be returning home to the Stormers next season, not this season. Springbok captain Sia Khaleesi has finally been granted his wish to return to Cape Town. He plays for the Sharks. He wanted to return to Stormers in time for the season to be in the same city as his kids after his divorce. The IOL's obsessive Rachel Khaleesi. Seeing a coup of Lockheed and Springbok superstar Sasha Feinberg-Umzula for a long-term contract, the Stormers received another massive boost in the form of the signing of Sia Khaleesi. Former Sharks Metro player recently has announced he wants to come back to the Stormers, and now it's finally happening. He played his 100th match in November for the Springboks. He'll be 36 by the time he rejoins the Stormers. He wants to lead to the Springboks to an unprecedented third World Cup in 2027, so he's definitely signed up for the season. Daisy, 200 Rand super chat. Thank you for that. Clouds are gathering, folks. Clouds are gathering. Let me try to put the cap back on now. That cooled down a few seconds there. Man, that thing is really cooking my head. Because a lot of heat escapes from your head, you know. Oops, that's not right. That's supposed to be back here. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. Let's see if I can hang out this time with this thing without cooking too much. Thank you for the 200 Rand super chat. See, Khaleesi coming back. Well, News 24 is doing actually some good public services, pointing out an actual fake YouTube channel. Got to give them credit for that. This one's about DJ Warris. All these fake stories using artificial intelligence generate these. YouTube channel previously exposed for spreading local disinformation has published more than a dozen videos about DJ Warris's murder. The videos rely on AI-generated scripts, sensational titles, dramatic thumbnails, and static image slideshows to create breakout hits. Yes, we don't do that here. We just bring you the truth, so we don't get those big spikes. None of the videos published by the channel accurately reflect what the police have said or what reputable news organizations have reported, but that hasn't stopped them from racking up tens of thousands of views. Yeah, well, and they're making money too. YouTube doesn't crack down on the fake news, only on legitimate actors. In Zimbabwe, Emerson Mnangagwa takes holiday until February. Look at that. It must be good to be the king. Zimbabwe's President Emerson Mnangagwa has begun a month-long annual vacation. It starts yesterday. In a statement issued by the Office of President Cabinet Harare, Mnangagwa said he would spend his leave within the country and expect to return to work early February 2026. Of course, he will spend the country because he can't go anywhere else because he's sanctioned for being a human rights violator. The United States is not satisfied with the actions of M23, saying withdrawal is not enough. Yeah, the Trump administration not satisfied with Rwanda-backed M23's withdrawal from a strategic town in eastern DRC. M23 seized Uvira near the border with Burundi on December 10th, days after Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi and Rwanda leader Paul Kagame met President Trump in Washington and reaffirmed a U.S. brokered peace deal. There's been some movement, but we don't feel that it really amounts to complete liberation of the town. We do believe M23 continues to be positioned around the city. The U.S. wants M23 out, and they want them out now. Nigeria says the diplomatic spat with the U.S. on religious violence has been resolved. Really? That's been done quietly. Nigeria says diplomatic spat with the United States over claims of anti-Christian violence have been largely resolved. I don't see how. It hasn't stopped. The recent diplomatic spat between the United States has been largely resolved through a firm, respectful engagement culminating in a strengthened partnership between America and Nigeria. What does that mean? What does that mean? Nothing. Christians are still being slaughtered in northern Nigeria, so I really don't know what that's supposed to mean. Guinea's junta leader will be expected to win the first election in Guinea since the coup in 2021. Voters in Guinea will head to the polls on Sunday for the first presidential election since the military took power in 2021 coup. Analysts are saying that it's a likely win for General Mamadi Doumbouya. One of 10 African countries where soldiers have seized power since 2020. That is approximately 20% of all countries in Africa. 20%, folks. Almost. Despite its rich mineral resources, including the world's biggest exporter of bauxite, over half of Guinea's 15 million people are experiencing unprecedented levels of poverty and food insecurity. Of course they are. I've been to Guinea. U.S. signs health agreements with 4 African nations and warns against non-performance. That's right. The U.S. signed 4 new global health memorandums of understanding with Madagascar, with Sierra Leone, with Botswana, with Ethiopia, which totaled $2.3 billion in funding, the State Department said on Tuesday. Each MOU carries clear benchmarks, strict timelines, consequences for non-performance, ensuring U.S. assistance delivers results against prior disease threats and reduces long-term dependence. Across the 4 MOUs, which totaled $2.3 billion, the U.S. has committed almost $1.4 billion, with recipient countries co-investing more than $900 million. So, the United States has health agreements with Madagascar, Sierra Leone, Botswana, and Ethiopia, but not with South Africa. Why is that? Where are your negotiators, South Africa? I thought you were expert and well-known in the world stage. Come on, ANC. Get your act together. Libyan army chief dies in a plane crash in Turkey. Libyan morning military chief Mohammed Ali Ahmed al-Haddad, geez, got enough names, everybody, who was seen as a unifying figure amid deep political divisions. Libyan army's chief of staff has been killed in a plane crash in Turkey while returning from an official visit to Ankara. The crash also killed 4 senior military officials and 3 crew members, sent shockwaves across Libya, where General al-Haddad was seen as a unifying figure amid deep political divisions. Wow. And there he is there. Internationally recognized governor of Libya confirmed the deaths of Lieutenant General Mohammed Ali Ahmed al-Haddad, the army chief, and other officers flying home from a meeting in Turkey. Police have arrested a man accused of celebrating the Bondi Beach shooting and discovered ammunition cache. Police said flags of Hamas and Hezbollah, 6 lawfully acquired rifles, and 4,000 rounds of ammunition were found in his house. Another Bondi Beach murder spree about to happen. They somehow managed to get it. Martin Thomas Glynn from the suburb of Perth appeared for court Wednesday after being charged with 3 offenses. Martin Thomas Glynn, who is affiliated with Hamas and Hezbollah? What the hell? His arrest came the same day the government of New South Wales, country's most populous state, proposed a series of reforms to tighten gun ownership. Yeah, right. He said, I just want to say that I, Martin Glynn, 100% support the New South Wales shooters. And then they found him. What an idiot. Notes referencing Hitler and the Holocaust. Oh, he's a neo-Nazi. That's why. Not because he supports Hamas. Neo-Nazi. India's space agency launched its heaviest satellite yet. The Bluebird Block 2 satellite weighed over 6 tons, reached orbit following a milestone launched by India's space agency. New Delhi hopes to use the same U.S.-built rocket to fly humans into space. Isn't that interesting? Look at that image there. Milestone launch was lauded by the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi as a significant stride for the space sector. It strengthens India's heavy lift launch capability and reinforces our growing role in the global commercial launch market. China hits the European Union dairy industry with 42% tariffs. 42.7. Wait. I thought Trump was the bad guy. I thought only Trump did these tariffs. I'm confused. I'm so confused. I mean, I thought Trump was the bad, evil guy with the tariffs. But the Chinese are imposing tariffs on European dairy products? Grandma Long, thank you for your subscription. It's not Trump, it's the Chinese. Trump isn't the problem. It's the global trading regime that's the problem. Wow. I'll be darned. Look at that, folks. Isn't that amazing? 43% tariffs. Wow. China will impose provisional duties up to 43% on certain dairy products imported from the EU after concluding the first phase of an anti-subsidy investigation widely seen as retaliation for the bloc's electric vehicle tariffs. Tariffs will range from 22 to 43%. Most companies will pay about 30%. Wow. The European Commission attacked the decision as unjustified and unwarranted. Wow, look at this. The Americans are attacking the EU. The Chinese are attacking the EU. Everyone's attacking the EU. Pawn jumps queen. Everyone jumps queen. China, as if we can believe this, then controlled ships that cut undersea cables. Chinese officials claim Taiwanese smugglers are to blame for a February incident Taipei says was an act of hybrid warfare. China accused 2 Taiwanese nationals of leading a crewed vessel that damaged undersea cables. So China is blaming the Taiwanese for an action committed by Chinese nationals. Okay, if you say so, man, if you say so. We'll take your word for it there, China. Oh, my goodness. Well, India and Bangladesh relations are getting sour. Yep, the killing of a Hindu man during recent violent protests in Bangladesh has pushed already strained relations between Dhaka and Delhi into deeper crisis. In India, the episode has sparked protests by Hindu nation nationalist groups. The man who was killed, Deepu Chandra Das, was 27, a member of Bangladesh's Hindu minority, was accused of blasphemy and beaten to death by a mob last week in northern Bangladesh. Incident happened hours before violent protests broke out over the murder of Sharif Osman Hadi, a prominent student leader. Wow. Things are getting spicy in the subcontinent. Radical Islamists have desecrated hundreds of Sufi shrines, attacked Hindus, prevented women from playing football in some areas, and have also curtailed music and cultural shows. Radical Islam, once again, causing discord in part of the world. Shocker. Who would have ever guessed such a thing could happen? Pretty much most of us. North Korea's Kim Jong-un, his daughter, opened a luxury resort, the two of them. 5 new hotels were opened in Samyeong near the Chinese border, with Kim Jong-un praising the rising status of North Korea's people. According to official Korean Central News Agency, 5 luxury hotels have opened their doors in a remote northern city. Barbecue restaurants, hot tubs, leisure spaces, despite widespread economic hardship across the country. Kim, who attended the ceremonies on Saturday, declared the resort clear proof of the rising status of our people. He personally inspected the facilities, even testing the firmness of the beds for good measure. According to KCNA, his daughter, believed by many else to be the heir apparent, was by his side for the grand tour. State media insists the hotels were proof that citizens have nothing to envy in the world. The result was clear proof of the ever-growing ideal of our people and our state's potential for development. Yeah, okay, sure. Keep telling yourself that, buddy. Keep telling yourself that. Security Council at the United Nations meets to talk about Venezuela, Iran, and Somalia today. Security Council convened earlier today for a packed agenda, adopting a resolution extending the authorization for the African Union support in OSOM, in Somalia, and carrying on Iran and implementation of Resolution 2231, which endorsed the 2015 nuclear deal. They're scheduled to meet at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about Venezuela. Chile's coach Pablo Lemoine says rugby is in trouble, even in countries like Wales. The former Uruguay prop has praised the new World Cup format, but wants more help for developing nations. I haven't praised the new World Cup format because it's diluted and made sure that the big boys get to win. When countries like Chile play in a World Cup, you need a general vision. Thinking only of sport is fantastic, it's awesome, but thinking of the real impact Chile needs, development programs, political impact, social impact for our fans, it's much more difficult to find tickets when you play the All Blacks or Australia. Speaking on Zoom from Chile's Parque Mahuda training base in Santiago, the 50-year-old sits in front of a whiteboard crammed with densely packed handwritten text, neatly illustrating his attention to detail. He explains they are situated 1,000 meters above sea level, so no local internet provider is willing to install a fiber connection. Now we're trying Elon Musk internet. Starlink. Mercifully, the connection holds. The former Uruguay prop who played for Bristol and Stade Francais at the dawn of professional era has steered Chile to a second straight Rugby World Cup after the debut in France. In 2027, the large format will mean pools for 4 rather than 5, and Los Condores will naturally target victory against Hong Kong. We have a chance to win our first game in the World Cup. Hong Kong have the same chance. It will be huge. Yep. He praised the new format that gives Tier 2 nations more hope. 4 third-place teams will qualify for the last 16. Well, we'll see how it goes in Australia. Government waters down the inheritance tax plan for farms. The government proposals that tax inherited farmland have been watered down, with the plan threshold increasing from $1 million to $2.5 million. But that's not going to be enough to appease farmers. This nonsense needs to go away. Brazil's Supreme Court says that Bolsonaro can leave prison to undergo surgery. Justice Alexandre de Moraes has approved a request the ex-president leave prison for hernia treatment. Serving a 27-year prison sentence for participation in a coup plot that never occurred. Bolsonaro's lawyers have requested to be transferred to the hospital in the capital, Brasilia. He's undergone a series of hospitalizations, medical procedures since being stabbed in the abdomen during a campaign event in 2018. So I'm surprised Trump is not talking about Bolsonaro. Trump administration has decided to seek the cancellation of thousands of asylum cases, saying applicants can be deported to third countries. The effort appears to have been intensified in recent weeks, targeting asylum seekers with pending cases in immigration courts in Atlanta, New York, Miami, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Texas, and elsewhere. Immigration courts, of course, are not part of the judicial branch. Instead, they're administrative entities run by the Justice Department, which employs and oversees judges to adjudicate the cases of people facing deportation. Administration is asking immigration judges to toss out asylum cases without hearing them on the merits. These are known as pre-termit motions. Wow. They filed 8,000 motions in immigration court last year to toss out asylum cases. I told you, folks, asylum is not the path. Not the path. Emmanuel Macron and the EU are crying over what I talked about earlier, the visa ban. Oh, go talk to your wife. French President Emmanuel Macron and the European Union have accused Washington of coercion and intimidation. That's what the people who've been banned are guilty of, and you're accusing us of it. Well, it's been a bad year for the dollar, folks. A combination of factors have reduced the value of the dollar significantly around the world, and little light at the end of the tunnel. The dollar slumped 9% this year against a basket of currencies, putting on pace for its worst showing in 8 years, despite the growing U.S. economy. The Union has talked about how they're a partner with Africa when others are withdrawn. It's just reached deals on medical to get money to help Africans with medical assistance. Now, that's what the U.S. is doing in Africa. What is the EU doing? Well, the EU is simply going for minerals like the Chinese, but they're talking about partnership. They just want to rape Africa of its minerals. There you go. Lobito Corridor, 1,300-kilometer stretch railway from Kapari Moshi on the edge of Zambia's copper belt to the port of Lobito in Angola, was first laid down in the early 1990s by colonial powers to transport critical minerals from Central Africa to its Atlantic ports. Previously known as the Benguela Railway, the project is set to carry 1 million tons of copper a year by 2030. The EU and its member states are investing €2 billion in the project alongside the U.S., the African Development Bank, and private companies. But look at this. Look at this. The EU talks about partnership, but it's really just about mineral extraction, isn't it? Isn't it there, EU? Bunch of clowns there. Are we buffering? Let me see if we're buffering here. Check out my connection real quick. See if it's on my end. You guys need to set your viewing at a lower speed. Wow, my internet is really slow. 500 megabytes. Yeah, it might be on my end, folks. I'm down to 1.5 per second. The buffering might be my end. Sorry about that. Here we go again. Every freaking day. Yeah, the buffering's on my end. It's not on your end, folks. Wow. This is really getting old. There is a problem, and they need to fix it. Yeah, the problem is on my end. No, it's on my end, folks. Sorry about that. I don't know what the deal is here. Anyway, we'll get through the news best we can. Germany's far-right Alternative for Deutschland is accused of gathering information for the Kremlin. Alternative for Germany's opponents accuse the party of attempting to disclose sensitive information on arms supply routes and drone defenses. What a crock. German politician Ringo Mühlmann has taken a noteworthy interest in exposing information his political opponents say could be of great interest to Russian intelligence. He's repeatedly asked the regional government to disclose intricate details on subjects such as local drone defenses and Western arms transport to Ukraine. What information does the state have about the extent of military transports through Turing since 2022? Such questions from lawmakers from the AfD have led German centrists to accuse the far-right party's lawmakers of using their seats to try to expose sensitive information that Moscow used. What a ridiculous bunch of nonsense. They have no evidence that the AfD has given anything to the Russians simply because politicians ask for information that's supposed to be available to them as politicians. They're being accused of supplying Russian spies. This is just ridiculous. This is another hysterical reaction from the leftists in there who hate it, who hate the AfD. Diarrhea and stomach aches plagued Roman soldiers along Hadrian's Wall. Oof. Analysis of latrine sediments at the Roman fort of Vindolanda has revealed at least 3 parasites widespread among Roman soldiers, and one of them is particularly nasty. Roman soldiers defending Hadrian's Wall in Britain were well acquainted with diarrhea and stomach aches, according to a new study. Finding shows that Roman guts suffered greatly in spite of the wall having what was then a state-of-the-art sewer system. The auxiliary fort at Vindlandia in northern England was occupied by the Romans for the first release of parasitic worms. When the latrine samples, within them, they found eggs from roundworms, whipworms. Oof. Their parasites live in human intestines, often causing stomach aches, fever, and diarrhea. And they also found Giardia. Ugh. Giardia is nasty. That's what they found. The presence of all 3 parasites suggests fecal contamination of water or food sources. Ugh. Ugh. Giardia is important to the health of people living. It's an important clue about the health of people. Crabs are breaking down microplastic. This is interesting. A species of crab has been found to play an unheralded role in the breakdown of microplastics. University of Exeter said scientists observed fiddler crabs in a polluted mangrove forest in Colombia ingest large quantities of small plastic particles in the sediment. It said the species could break down plastic within days, but scientists warned of the potential release of harmful nanoplastics into their tissues and consequently the food chain. University said the research was led by Professor Jose Rascos and other institutions, including Universidad de Antioquia de Turbo in Medellin. Wow, it said the Gulf of Urabá, where the study took place, had some of the highest levels of plastic contamination reported anywhere in the world. Despite this, the fiddler crab populations are thriving, raising the question of how these creatures tolerate such high levels of plastic waste. It sampled 95 crabs. My goodness, that's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting, man. Wow. So fiddler crabs are consuming plastic waste. YouTube is not getting enough data here. My goodness. Oh, this is annoying. Yep, not getting enough data. Well, this says I'm not connected. Oh, dear God. Wow. Yeah, I know there's fungi, but we didn't know that there were these plastics, so interesting. Trump's tanker crackdown paralyzed Venezuelan oil exports. Venezuela suddenly can't export oil, which is the intent. Oil exports, country's financial lifeblood, have plummeted after the United States took action against 3 ships that have been used to carry its crude. President Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela has been struggling to adjust to President Trump's dramatic escalation of pressure against his government, which has seen U.S. law enforcement agents taking action against 3 tankers involved in the export of Venezuelan crude. And suddenly they can't export oil. Well, that's bad news for them. That's bad news. The U.S. moves troops and additional special operations aircraft into the Caribbean. It's the latest by the Trump administration to ratchet up pressure on the Maduro regime. U.S. moved large numbers of special operations aircraft, troops, and equipment in the Caribbean this week, giving Washington additional options for possible military action. Alberta's independence movement continues. Now they're going to have the referendum put out there to move forward for independence for the Western Canadian province, a conservative province looking for independence from Canada. Wow, that's pretty crazy stuff. Well, it's only going to get better. The economic surge is a holiday gift for President Trump as the economy grew at 4.3% annual rate. Wow. But a lot of Americans dislike the fast-growing economy. Look at this. Every effort by CNN and the fake media to lie about what's going on with the economy. And NORAD is tracking Santa. Look at that. Look at that. NORAD is tracking Santa Claus. U.S. economy keeps powering ahead, defying dire predictions. More efforts to undermine the economy. What is going on? Are people leaving the stream? Yep. U.S. murders on pace for the largest one-year drop on record. Percentage change in select types of crime. Motor vehicle theft down 23%. Murder down 20% across the country. Do you think what that is? Maybe it has something to do with Donald Trump's crackdown in cities. 20% murders are down. Largest decline in U.S. history. But the Supreme Court has refused to allow the president to deploy the National Guard in Chicago. Second big batch of Epstein files includes many mentions of Trump, but it's all bogus. The Justice Department's warned us much of this is stuff that was created in 2020 to throw off the election. Trump administration rolls back Biden-era policy that let the Veterans Administration make abortions. They reversed the Biden-era guidance requiring the Department of Veterans Affairs to provide abortions, arguing that the directive violated congressional restrictions on the use of taxpayer dollars. So good. The VA is no longer in the business of terminating American life. That's good news. And the Trump administration confirmed new H-1B process for visa applicants. Interesting. Yeah, that goes into effect on February 27th. The existing random selection process was exploited and abused by U.S. employers who are primarily seeking to import foreign workers at lower wages than they would pay Americans. So now it's going to be much more selective. Trump's plan to mine the Mariana Trench could mean the Pacific. We're looking for nodules, minerals at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, and they're upset about that. Why? Why are they upset about that? Small cobblestones called polymetallic nodules that form on the deep abysmal plain. 355 Louisiana National Guard members are deploying to assist law enforcement efforts. The Pentagon spokesman said the deployment supported by Louisiana's government would help curb crime in New Orleans and other metropolitan areas. Texas has had its age verification law banned. Preliminary injunction in federal court cited the First Amendment, handing a win to tech companies like Apple and Google. So what they're doing in Australia won't fly in America. Texas, among the largest of more than 20 states, have considered passed similar age verification laws, but the government says no, court. Military families will finally get more money during deployments. Family separation allowance, which has been stuck at $250 for over 20 years, will now be raised to $300 per month. That's still a joke. The Pentagon had the authority to do that, but they wouldn't do it. The payment kicks in when service members separated from their dependents for at least 30 consecutive days. Money's tax-free and comes on top of other paying allowances. Yep. The American Criminal Liberties Union of Missouri is suing to halt the use of the state's new congressional map. They have no standing, so this should be thrown out. Lawsuit by the American Criminal Liberties Union on behalf of Missouri voters claims the state is illegally implementing Republican-backed gerrymandering map. Nope, it's not illegal. You just don't like it. American Airlines pilot posts his salary on Reddit and left the internet speechless. Arctic, are you here today? A Miami-based American Airlines Boeing 737 captain posted on Reddit his salary, which this year is $457,894. So the hourly pay is $360 an hour. That's for flight hours. $457,000 a year. That's a lot of money. So a wide-body captain can easily clear $500,000 per year. American, Delta, and United all have virtually identical hourly pay, although they have profit sharing since Delta is by far the most profitable. You expect Delta pilots are paid even better, and some very senior Delta captains are earning probably close to $600,000 per year. Wow, $600,000 per year, folks. That's crazy. Have we gotten any better here? Let me see. Doesn't look like it's any better. We're still getting a slow speed. This is ridiculous. $600,000 a year to be a pilot. poor man got underpaid, says Arctic. Some of the Epstein files have redactions that are being undone with hacks. Unredacted text from released documents began circulating on social media. People examining documents released by the Department of Justice case discovered that some of the file redactions can be undone with Photoshop techniques or by simply highlighting text to paste into a word processing file. Unredacted text from these documents began circulating through social media on Monday. Wow. Crazy. People are obsessed with this Epstein stuff. Well, a neo-Nazi terror group steps up as U.S. operations and the FBI pulls back. Online activity shows the base, headed by alleged Russian asset Ronaldo Nazo, sees U.S. and Ukraine as key centers. Amid high-profile arrests for its Spanish cell, the American-born and designated neo-Nazi terrorist group, the base, once a major preoccupation in FBI counterterrorism efforts, is all but faded from U.S. headlines. The base is, I'm sorry, has anybody ever heard of the base? Anyone ever heard of the base? I've never heard of that before. Never heard of it. And that's the news. Yep, not getting enough data. This is unbelievable. YouTube is not the problem. The problem is my provider. And this is really starting to piss me off. Really starting to piss me off. No, less than a megabyte per second. Wow. Well, guys, I don't want to. It's all because they redacted text by highlighting it. Exactly. Oh, you just copy and paste. Exactly. Exactly right. That's because they're stupid. The people that did it are stupid. Had the best ox tongue. Okay. That should motivate people to strive for a better life. Educate yourselves. Okay. How are you a danger to somebody, Devet? You're welcome, Mark. Sorry to see you go. Ever have I had YouTube's tabs crash off and kernels? I don't know, Orangutan Juice. They crashed on me too. And Xavier left too. My new wife has emptied my main bank account and stolen my legal documents trying to extort. Oh my gosh, Devet. What the hell? What the hell? No buffering, just low volume. Low volume is fine, man. Oh my gosh, Devet. What the hell? Yeah, okay. Looking good. Okay, you're welcome. Oh, now I'm not connected again. Oh my goodness. Really difficult. I don't want to make you guys, subject you guys to this. It's very kind of you to stick with me this long, but it's just not fair to you. So I'm going to have to wrap up here because of my provider. I'm going to threaten them with the FCC because this has really become problematic. Art Queen, thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Let me just look at the super chats, make sure I didn't miss any, how we're doing on the stream. So, yeah, thank you all for that. This is unacceptable. I've had enough of this nonsense from these people. So this is a warning to Xfinity. Either you fix this connection or I will report you to the federal for your failure to provide a service that I pay for. Yep. All right. So that's going to wrap it up here, folks. God bless and have a good day. Thank you for your patience. I'll be on with Ronaldo shortly. It takes less bandwidth for me to do that than this does. Cheers.